A shocking revelation has emerged in the ongoing controversy surrounding a collapsed espionage case against two individuals accused of spying for China. The Education Secretary has stated that a key security advisor, Jonathan Powell, played no part in the evidence or substance of the case. But here's where it gets controversial. The conservatives have pointed fingers at Powell, suggesting he was involved in withholding crucial evidence from prosecutors, which could have led to convictions. Charges against Christopher Cash and Christopher Berry were dropped last month, causing an uproar among ministers and MPs. When asked about Powell's role, Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson clarified he did not have those conversations around the substance or the evidence of the case. Phillipson expressed deep disappointment that the case didn't proceed and emphasized that the Crown Prosecution Service should explain why they couldn't bring forward a prosecution. Downing Street initially denied any ministerial involvement in the case's collapse. However, in a surprising move, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Stephen Parkinson, revealed that the trial collapsed because the government failed to provide evidence labeling China as a national security threat. The Conservatives have submitted an urgent question in Parliament, demanding ministers explain the trial's collapse to MPs on Monday. They believe Powell, who has advocated for closer ties with Beijing, did not provide the necessary evidence to the CPS. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp called on ministers to urgently explain why they chose not to disclose the extensive information demonstrating China's threat to national security during the 2021 to 2023 period. He added, "It appears Jonathan Powell was behind this decision and he should resign if so." The Prime Minister defended the government's position, stating they could only rely on the previous Conservative government's stance, which labeled China an epoch-defining challenge. The Prime Minister emphasized the need to prosecute based on the circumstances at the time of the alleged offense, focusing on the Tory government's policy then. Several former Conservative ministers and advisers have confirmed there was no official designation of whether a country posed a threat. They claim a document exists with hundreds of examples of Chinese activities threatening the UK at the time of the alleged offenses, which could have been used as evidence. Sources cited the hack on the Ministry of Defense, suspected to be China's doing, as one of many incidents. A source from the last government commented, "I don't think there is a sane jury in the world that would look at that evidence and conclude China was not a threat." Former Conservative ministers also highlighted public statements, including from the former head of MI5, Ken McCallum, who in 2023 described a sustained campaign of Chinese espionage on a pretty epic scale. The Liberal Democrats criticized the government's approach to China, stating it puts our national security at risk. They urged the government to block the planning application for a new Chinese embassy in London, arguing that it would enable Chinese espionage on an industrial scale. Mr. Cash, a former parliamentary researcher, and Mr. Berry were charged under the Official Secrets Act in April 2024 during the Conservative government's tenure. They were accused of gathering and providing information detrimental to the state's safety and interests between December 2021 and February 2023. Under the Official Secrets Act, spying accusations can only lead to prosecution if the information passed on was useful to an enemy. Last month, the Director of Public Prosecutions announced that the case could no longer proceed to trial since the evidence no longer met the evidential test. This case has sparked intense debate and raised questions about the government's handling of national security matters. What are your thoughts on this controversial issue? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments below.